Servant leadership says, I will help others reach their potential, and by helping others reach their potential, I will achieve the goals of the organization. And so it's always about other people. And so that's always been my philosophy of leadership. And so as I'm leading people from here to there, I'm lifting them up to get the best they can be. And by helping them be the best they can be, we can achieve our goals.
You just heard from Dr. Dan Summerlin. I'm Todd Faulkner. Welcome to Leadership Magnified. Thanks for listening. If his name sounds familiar, it might be because Dan Summerlin served nearly 21 years as pastor of Lone Oak First Baptist Church in Paducah. He retired after a total of 40 years of pastoral ministry. He holds a Master of Divinity and Doctor of Theology degrees from New Orleans Baptist Theological Seminary. In retirement, he serves as an executive coach with Trove, Inc. He teaches the next generation of leaders. So, yeah, it makes sense he comes on this podcast. He'll explain. Here's my conversation. Enjoy. Dan Summerlin, thanks for being on Leadership Magnified.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me.
So before we dig in, let's get to know a little bit about you for those listening or watching. Who is Dan Summerlin? Wife, kids, who are you?
Okay. My name is Dan, and I'm originally from Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and so I'm still called an Alabama pastor even in Kentucky. But I went to the University of Alabama, got my degree in psychology, then went to New Orleans and got a master's and a doctorate degree. My wife is my high school sweetheart, and in fact, we just celebrated 45 years of marriage last Saturday. We have two children, James, who is a pastor in Charleston, Illinois, and he and his wife, Rachel, have two children, Roman and Hadley, and they're expecting a third one on the way. And our daughter, Jenna, was teaching pharmacy at the University of Texas last year, but she's just been hired at Union University, assistant dean to the students in the pharmacy department. And so that's our family.
That's your life right now. Let's just dive in to the topic at hand here, leadership. How would you, with your background, describe leadership? What is it?
What I do, there's Harvard Business School says there's 360 definitions of leadership, and I don't even understand that. I take two definitions and put them together. One is from John Maxwell, who says leadership is influence. And I think that's excellent because if you influence someone, you're leading them. And I take Henry Cloud, who's a psychologist, and he says leadership is leading people from here to there. And so my definition of leadership is influencing people to go from here to there, which means influence is relationships. The here, you need knowledge to know your culture, know where you are. And to go there, you need to have the skills to get there. So those are the three categories I focus on.
I like that. Very concise. In your 40 years of pastoral experience, how would you describe your leadership at the macro level and then at the micro level?
What I do is it's called servant leadership. Harold Greenleaf in 1970 wrote an essay on servant leadership, although I do believe it's been around for thousands of years. And servant leadership says, I will help others reach their potential, and by helping others reach their potential, I will achieve the goals of the organization. And so it's always about other people. And so that's always been my philosophy of leadership. And so as I'm leading people from here to there, I'm lifting them up to get the best they can be, and by helping them be the best they can be, we can achieve our goals.
You bring it back to relationship. I learned early on. It's all about building relationships.
It's all about relationship. You will not be a good leader long term if you don't build relationships.
You're an executive coach at Trove, Inc. So first of all, what is Trove, Inc. and what do you do as an executive coach?
Trove, Inc. is a company outside of Atlanta. It's a coaching firm, and they provide coaching services for people around the United States or really around the world. They hired me a couple of years ago to work mainly with pastors, ministers, and nonprofit organizations, although I will work with anyone. And what they do is they work with people, discovering their needs, assessing them. We have some tests we could understand more about the personality. Then we evaluate, and then we help those people achieve their goals. So everyone is different, and so there's not a cookie cutter. And so, for example, I will talk to someone, what do you need? What do you think you need to be a leader in the organization? Sometimes it's skill. Sometimes it's understanding themselves. Sometimes it may be something else. And so I help them at an individual level.
That's interesting. How is leadership in a church or religious organization different than leadership in an environment outside of organized religion, or is it?
The principles are the same. Leadership principles will always go across the board, whether it's a church, nonprofit, military, business, it's principles.
Mhm.
The difference would be that I work with volunteers. And so working with volunteers is a little different because I have no authority over them.
Mhm.
If you think about it, I've been a pastor for 40 years. So I'm trying to get people to do what they don't want to do while they're paying me to get them to do what they don't want to do. That's crazy. That does not make any sense. And so, but if I worked in a company, I can, give bonuses. I can fire people. There are other ways I can motivate. But when you have volunteers, you have to find different ways to motivate. That's probably the biggest difference. Learning how to work with people across the board, figuring out how to motivate them, figuring out what they need the most.
Yeah. And I guess if I think about it reverse, I mean, people of faith probably bring that into the workspace where they are motivated to work outside of organized religion.
I think so. I mean, in the church, for example, there is a goal that we are on the same page together, but they're still people, and everyone has an opinion, and everyone wants to do their own thing, and so there's always conflict. Where two or three are gathered, there'll be conflict, and so you have to deal with that, and at that level of nonprofit organization.
What are some red flags as you see young leaders make, even if they think they're trying to do the right thing? As a leadership coach, you sit back and you go, I don't know if I'd do that.
I think there's some great young leaders, but some of the problems that I'm seeing with young leaders, they're highly confident, but they have low competence
Hmm.
because they haven't developed the skills yet. They're very confident in their ability. They want influence, but they don't know how to earn trust. There's a poll taken, I think, almost every year. We're finding out high school graduates, what they want to do more than anything else is be an entrepreneur.
Huh.
They want to make a difference. They want to be an influencer. And they're going into the workplace and they want to be an influencer, but they're not developing trust first. The third red flag is lack of communication skills. Because of texting, because of the phone, whatever it may be, the idea of communicating is very difficult for them, especially if it's confrontational. They are more apt to ghost or avoid those tough conversations. And so those are some of the red flags in young leaders right now.
In previous podcast episodes, I've personally shared with the guest, I'm in my mid 40s and I'm working with somebody who's 22. Sometimes, and it's not their fault, but sometimes little things like no eye contact,
Right.
Standing up straight, giving someone your attention. I mean, it's just a different way of interacting with them. It just kind of blows my mind, but such is life.
Well, they've never been taught.
Yeah.
I mean, in their world, they're looking at a screen. They're looking, whether FaceTime or whatever, and they're looking at a small screen, probably, and they cannot read body language. So, for example, they may see a face, but they don't see the visioning hands or anything like that. So I had a situation one time. We were in a meeting and with a young leader, and after the meeting, he said, I nailed it. I said, dude, you missed it. I said, didn't you know so over there? He wouldn't look at you, and so over there kept fidgeting his hand, and someone over there kept shaking his head. And I went around the room. I said, everyone in this room did not like that idea. But they didn't say anything. No, they didn't say anything to you. But I guarantee you, looking at right now in the parking lot, they're talking about this meeting because the meeting after the meeting is more important than the meeting. And I said, so we got to call another meeting and tell them, what do you really think? And that's what we did. We brought them back in, and I said, let's just go over it one more time. What do you really think? And to a person, they said, we don't like the idea. And he did not read the body language. He did not read anything. He just, silence. They must be approving me.
Yeah, I tell people I'm bad at a lot of things. I'm really good at reading a room.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if it's an intuitive thing or if I was taught it, but I can read a room like that. Like, that person's in a good mood, that person's in an awful mood, so forth and so on. What strengths do young leaders bring to the table? And what about those seasoned veterans? Like both bring something.
Well, young leaders, what they bring, the number one thing they bring is enthusiasm. They are highly excited. We can do this. Let's go. Let's go. They also bring with them, they can adapt. All their lives, they've been adapting. Almost every year, something new in technology has occurred, and they're just adapting. They're adapting to social cultures. They're adapting constantly. They come to the workplace. You going to change the workplace? I don't care. I'm used to adapting. So that enthusiasm and that ability to adapt is probably their greatest strength. Also, third, they think outside the box. Again, they've always thought outside the box, and they've been taught that. Their parents have told them, you can achieve anything you want. You can achieve anything you want. And so they've always thought that way. I can get it done. So they'll come into a workplace and you give them an idea and brainstorming. I love brainstorming with the young leaders because they are throwing out ideas all over the place. Some won't work, that's fine, but they're thinking outside the box. Seasoned leaders have more wisdom because they've seen more. They're less likely to change, which is not good for them, but they will see problems and issues. The young leaders will see no problems. Hey, we can do this, let's just go for it. Seasoned leaders, been there, done that, that causes some problems. So both groups have to work together to formulate a plan to move forward.
Who personally over your lifetime's been maybe an individual or several people been an influence in your leadership style or just in your life perhaps?
Individually, I was blessed. I had two mentors who invested in me. One was Dr. Cecil Randall, who was a pastor at First Baptist Tuscaloosa. He had an ability to read people better than anyone I've ever met. He taught me about relationships. He could talk to a homeless man or he could talk to the governor of Alabama, and there was no difference. He could talk to a man with no money or the richest man in Tuscaloosa County, and there was no difference. And people saw that in him. Wherever he went, he treated people the same. And he taught me the value of treating people with dignity and respect and learning how to listen. The second mentor was Dr. Rick Lance, who is now the executive director in Alabama State Convention. And he was preaching at a revival church, and I got to know him, and I wrote him a letter. Back in the days, we wrote letters, right? Asking for advice, and he sent me some advice, and then we started writing letters, and then we started talking. So over 40 years, he's been someone I've gone to. He taught me learn administration. So I'm a college student, and he said, if you want to be a leader, learn administration, learn time management, learn how to finances. He said, key leaders will not follow you if you don't understand the principles of administration. He said, when people get in trouble in the organization, it's because of relationships or incompetence. He says, so if you can learn at this age how to be a good administrator, and you'll make it. And so I'm in college, and I went to the bookstore and started buying books with Peter Drucker and any book on administration and productivity and finance. And so I started learning and take those skills with me when I went to the church.
Let me look at my list here. Oh, let's talk about stress management, because over the last 5-ish years, this idea of mental health, people are talking about it more. It's more of a conversation. So, what do you see as the symptoms of managing stress management, or the symptoms of being stressed at work?
Well, stress is a huge factor today. It's been around. A man by the name of Hans Selye was the father of stress. He started writing about it many decades ago. What people don't understand, and he gives the best definition, he says that stress is a reaction to a perceived threat. Not a threat, a perceived threat. We have the idea, if I get rid of the threat, my stress will go away. No, if it's perceived, it will always be there. So if I can get rid of this boss, my stress will go away. Well, the boss may not be the stress factor. It may be the perceive of somebody in authority, or it's perception. So what we need to do, and what stress will do, is a silent killer. Someone said, I don't know if it's true, someone said about 70% of the people in the hospital are there because of stress of some type that causes more issues. So when you're stressed, I'm stressed. And by the way, stress is not bad. We need stress. If I'm walking across the street and a car's coming at me and they blow the horn, I need stress to jump. We get stress to get stronger. So stress is not wrong. It's not bad. Prolonged stress is bad. It's called problem stress or chronic stress, and that causes burnout. But what happens is our bodies take over. So if I have a perceived threat, my body releases adrenaline, which means my heart rate goes up, my blood pressure goes up. My body says, hey, you got to either fight or flight. It shuts down everything. It shuts down my digestive system. That's why people don't eat when they're stressed. That causes stomach problems. It causes other issues like a study just a few weeks ago said that when we're under severe stress, we lose 15 points, IQ points at that moment.
I've never heard that.
Yeah. So when someone in a crisis or somebody who's seen a tragedy, they don't remember. A witness to a crime, don't remember it because the stress, you forget things.
Mm.
So here's the body. Your heart rate's going up. The adrenaline's going up. With adrenaline, your cortisol goes up, which means insulin is messed up. So now we're gaining weight. We got headaches, digestive problems, skin problems. I mean, it causes all these issues. And that's what's happening. We don't even realize it. So there are symptoms when we're under stress, and we need to learn what those symptoms are.
So is that kind of how you, I don't want to say fight back, but is that how is recognizing all of that part of lowering stress?
Yes.
Okay.
You have to, if you know it's coming, you have to know yourself. Everyone's different. So I'm an introvert. When I'm under stress, I need to be alone. My son's an extrovert. When he's under stress, he needs people around him. If I'm under stress and I know my body well enough that, okay, I need to take care of my body better. Little things like exercise. When I say exercise, I'm talking about walking, just moving, eating right, sleeping. One of the first questions I ask people, how's your sleep? How are you sleeping? That's one of the first signs of bad stress because you can't get to sleep or you wake up over and over or whatever. So you know who you are, know your body, take care of yourself physically, mentally, and then how you think about it. Remember, it's perceived threat. It's not a threat, it's a perceived threat. Look at the issue, look at the problem, and ask the question, what can I control? And then ask, what can I not control? Well, if you can't control it, there's nothing you can do about it anyway. So they should not cause any stress. But what can I control in this situation? And that's what you focus on. And you learn how to think strategically on that.
Years ago, I was talking about stress, and a good friend of mine recommended, if you wake up in the morning, which morning to me is like 11 a.m. because I work a night shift. Anyway.
Oh, bless you.
Yeah. And today was a perfect example. Write down everything you're doing that day. Because when I woke up this morning, I'm thinking, okay, I got this. What'd I do? I sat down with my coffee and I went editorial meeting 1:30, Dan Summerlin podcast interview. At 3:30, today I'm gonna interview Mayor George Bray. I've got to anchor the 5, anchor the 6, look at scripts. And as I wrote each thing out, I could tell I just kind of came back down like, all right, let's get ready for work. So then mentally I walk in and I'm in a better place.
Yeah, one of the things about stress is we need to live within our margins. So someone has described our brain like a computer, and we have RAM. Things are going on all the time. Just writing things down will lower that what you just said.
Yeah.
I would even say do it the night before. As you're writing it down, what's going to happen as you're sleeping? Your brain, physically, what's happening? There are chemicals washing your brain out. And this is my words. And with getting rid of toxins. But something happens where our brain divides emotions and thoughts. What that means is sometimes we'll wake up in the morning and, hey, I know what I'm going to do. And they'll, hey, why don't you sleep on it? While you're sleeping, your brain will start putting things together. So I write out everything I'm going to do the night before. Then I go to sleep. I get up. I look at the list. I have more clarity. And I start writing notes about what I think that morning.
I'm going to start doing that. This has been a really good conversation. We like to try to keep these podcasts relatively short, so listen to them in the car to work or whatever. So last thing, pull back the curtain on your personality a little bit. 3 questions. You can answer with 1 word or more, doesn't matter. What brings you joy?
My family.
What brings a tear to your eye?
Alabama football losing.
That's good. And finally, Dan, what gives you hope?
2 answers. One, as a Christian, as a believer, Jesus gives me hope. But the other answer is the morning. Every morning is a new day. time of new possibilities. I don't know what's going to happen. It's exciting. So every morning there's hope that today is going to be a new day, that I can make a difference in someone's life. And that gets me going.
Excellent. We'll end it there, Dan. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
That's this week's show. If you like what you heard, post a link to the podcast on your social media pages. Video and sound by Mason Watkins. Editing by Brian Clapp. Until next week, stay safe, friends.